Alrighty, I believe we are live. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
It's not quite one yet, so it might take a little bit for people to start trickling in. But it should start. Here we go. We've got a few people coming in now. Hello, everyone. And I can see that the same mistake from last time has not been made. I don't know if anybody was here for the last webinar, but there was a bit of a technical difficulty where everyone had the same name. It seems as though people have different names this time. So that is great news. We're starting off really, really well. So hi, everyone. Please pop in the chat and make yourselves known. I am very excited for this webinar. We have 3 amazing wedding industry experts joining us today, and I will get you 3 to introduce yourselves in just a second. But before we do that, I'm going to launch our first poll just to see where everybody is tuning in from. What state are you from? And I think, yes, people are coming in, which is awesome. Amazing. We've got New South Wales, Vic for now, WA, Lala, we've got people on your side. Awesome. So while people start answering that, I will quickly introduce myself. If you have been to any of our webinars, you might recognize me, or if you follow us on Instagram or Facebook, you might also recognize me from Instagram stories or being ridiculous in Instagram Reels. That is kind of my ongoing joke now, that I embarrass myself for a living. It was not in the original job description, but I made it a thing and now I can't get out of it. So that is me. I have been with Easy Weddings. My name's Emma. I don't know if I said that, but I've been with Easy Weddings for about a year as the head of social media. And here we go. We've got people jumping in. Awesome. And I am totally wedding obsessed. The main part of my role is talking with the B2C side, which is our couples. So I have a really good understanding of what couples are looking for and how they act and how, what we call like the purchase behavior. So I think maybe I'll have a bit of, knowledge to share here, but I'm by no means the expert in this chat. So you will hopefully not hear too much from me and mostly from our experts here. So now I'm just going to end this poll and I'm going to launch our next one, which is what supplier category do you belong to? So there are quite a few options in there, but if you don't see yourself in there, please click other and let us know what your category is. And while you do that, I would love to get our experts to introduce themselves. So if you 3 can let us know, obviously, your name and your business name, where you're based, how long you've been in the industry, anything you want to share with us. Why don't you take us away, Lala?
Why did I know that was coming? Okay, my business in the wedding industry is Lala Design, and on Instagram, it's Lala Design Perth. I've been in business 20 years this year. It's always been a full-time business, so I run with a team of 6, my Lala girls. We specialise in wedding and event stationery, more in the premium high-end market. Our focus is always on customer service and customer experience. The quality of the product and the design is natural. It comes easily to us, but we really focus on making sure that experience for our couples is there. I am based in Perth, Western Australia, and I've been an Easy Weddings vendor, I think it feels like almost since Easy Weddings probably started. Like I can't even remember the date. It's been that long.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Family.
Yeah, you are 100%. And it's so good to have you here today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear everything that you have to share with us. How about you, Lee?
Hi.
Hi.
So I am the owner of Just Bake It Bouquets, and we're based in Sydney. I've been in the wedding industry for 12 years, I think. Feels like forever. A lot of brides over that time, a lot of brooms. So yeah, we're basically mid to high end range, premium quality flowers, none of that old dusty stuff that you find in your nana's house. What else can I tell you? Yeah, I think I've just drawn a blank there.
Amazing.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to say though,
Yes.
when Lala was saying that you joined Easy Weddings, basically from when Easy Weddings started, I feel like we were a bit the same. Started the first year that I went into business, and then I stopped for a year, and then I realized the difference that Easy Weddings had made. And I thought, oh, I'm actually going back, and I haven't stopped then. There's been like a run of 11 years since then being with Easy Weddings. So
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah, definitely love it. Great platform.
Amazing. Well, it's good to have you back and never leave us again.
Yes, I learned my lesson.
Thank you so much for joining as well today. I'm just very excited to hear from all of you. Paul, why don't you introduce yourself?
Thank you. So I'm Paul Bonadio. I'm based in Melbourne, Victoria, out in the burbs after moving from the city. I've been in the wedding industry about 6 or 7 years, but I guess COVID swallowed up 2 of those. So it's probably 5 years, I could say, but it's about 6 or 7 years. I've been with Easy Weddings around about, I started off Facebook advertising and then went into Easy Weddings about a year in. So I guess I come from stand-up background, so a lot of my ceremony is much more fun. They're relaxed and laid back. There's sentimentality in there as well, of course. I don't want to be just roasting everybody. It's sort of a good but it's more than anything, the sort of fun, laid-back ceremonies and sort of try to set the tone for the rest of the day more than anything else.
Yeah, awesome. And Paul is also really funny on Reels and is also one to not necessarily embarrass. Like I haven't seen any like real, embarrassing dance moves necessarily, but quite funny on Reels. I enjoy watching those a lot.
If you dig deep enough, there's a few dancing ones.
Oh, okay. I need to do some more digging then.
No, you don't.
Amazing. Well, thank you three so much for joining again. I can't wait to get into this chat. But before we do, I'm just going to end this poll and launch our third and last one for the day. And that is just to kind of maybe guide the conversation a little bit today. It's just around for our viewers, kind of to get a feeling of where you're at when it comes to reviews. So are you, not really anywhere with your reviews and you feel like you've got so much work to do, like you've tried a few things, but nothing's really stuck and you've decided to focus your energy on something else because it's just taken too much energy out of you and you're not getting where you want to be? Or are you actually doing really, really well and you're just here to get some new perspectives or some more information, see how other suppliers do it? Or are you somewhere in between where you feel like, yeah, you're pretty good with your reviews, but you're always keen to get some more information and some more education? So I'm just going to launch that really quickly. And while people start answering that one, I just want to remind everyone that this is going to be recorded. So if you need to leave for any reason, or if you don't have a pad and pen or something, and there's information that you want to come back to later on, you will receive a link later, like within an hour or so, to watch the replay within your own time. And the other thing I just wanted to say was, if you have any questions, if you've come with questions, that's amazing. Or if you have any questions while this conversation is going, please feel free to pop those questions in the chat. And I might interject here and there with questions if I feel like I can. Otherwise, I will bank them all up for the very end. But please do feel free to pop your questions in. I'm seeing here that we've got mostly people who feel really happy with where their reviews are at and are just keen for some more tips, or kind of like in that middle section of the spectrum, which is awesome. Yes, questions, recording. I think that's all I had to say before we get into this chat. So yeah, I am going to go straight into it. So this conversation, we're going to cover literally everything about reviews. We're going to cover the how, the who, the where. But first, I want to get into the why. So why are we having this conversation in the first place? Why are reviews so important for a wedding business, a business in general? Why do we need to have this conversation? And why do people have to understand that reviews are so important to grow their business? Lee, do you want to take us away?
Sure. I feel that it's most important to build trust, really, because most of the people that are using, the services of wedding industry professionals, they're not return customers. They get married and then they go off, and that's their only purchase with you, usually. That if you've got great reviews and they add to these great reviews, it's the word of mouth that, they'll tell their bridesmaids and their friends, and their mother will tell their friends, and it's a flow-on effect. So having people having great experiences with you and sharing it is so important, because we don't get that return custom as other industries, can.
Yeah. Hopefully not.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Lala? Why do you think it's so important?
There's a lot of reasons why it's important. I think one of the factors, like Lee said, is trust, but also it's social proof. We're so overwhelmed with choice that this helps us, or helps our clients make a deciding factor, is by being able to read reviews on us. With the wedding purchase, it's a one-off purchase. You only get a go at it once. You don't get a retake on it. So if you don't make a decision right the first time, you don't get another go at it. So that's where reviews, or social proof as such, backs up that you are making the right decision. It kind of just almost is the cherry on top. You might have 3 or 4 of us that you're choosing between, and it's the reviews that will be the deciding factor as to whether or not you choose me over someone else. So that's why reviews are important.
Yeah, 100%. Paul, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, pretty much very similar. I mean, it's kind of online street cred more than anything else, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think both of those, that's fantastic sort of summaries of both. But I think one of the things as well is you can put up whatever spiel you have on your website or across your different channels. But if you don't have reviews that don't match or aren't consistent with what you've put out on your web channels, it's going to completely break down any sort of semblance you've got of getting that next step with any customer. So having the reviews, having people that have been at your weddings, that have experienced your services, that are also applicable to what you deem your services are all about online, is as crucial as anything.
Yeah,
I agree. I think even just with like the initial inquiry, I think, for example, if you're a photographer and people are just simply relying on like the photos that are on your website or your Easy Wedding storefront or whatever, and they're saying, oh, this is kind of like similar price, it's similar vibe, like the photo style is the same. The first thing, like the next thing they're looking at is the reviews. And if one of the photographers who, otherwise they're like very balanced, but one of the photographers has 30 really great reviews and the other one has, 2 or 0 or potentially some negative reviews, which we'll get into in a second, most likely you're going to inquire with the one with the more reviews, right? Like it's just a kind of like an innate decision-making process. So definitely very, very important. So important. Now the where of it all. Where do you recommend? I feel like there are so many different platforms that people can leave reviews and look reviews up, which can be both overwhelming for the supplier and for the couple. So I feel like, maybe when you're asking for a review, you might say, hi, sorry, can you leave a review here, and here, versus, these 10 different places where the couple's just going to go, whoa, I'm not even going to reply to this email because like I feel bombarded and, so we don't want to be overwhelmed as suppliers where we're thinking, oh my God, I need to get reviews everywhere. Where are the top, 3? Are there 3? Are there 5? What does that look like? Paul, take us away.
So obviously start off with the Easy Weddings review. So that's first and foremost. Well, that's where I get the majority of my leads and customers. So I always direct them towards Easy Weddings to pop a review. But then it always obviously comes after the wedding. So it'll be on the Sunday night or the Monday where I send the recap email. Easy Weddings, and then pretty much they can copy and paste it, and I just use Google, and then if they've got a Gmail account, so they can pop it straight in, copy and paste, make it as easy as possible. Because on Google, for something separate, I try to get a groomer for my dog, I'm going to look straight to Google to see what the reviews are and see what's going on there. And if they haven't got a Gmail, which I think means they can't post a review into Google, I'll put it onto Facebook next. So, as you said, not to overwhelm the customer, nice and easy. You can copy and paste it from one to the other. It'll take 2 seconds for them to do it. So, keep it as simple as possible for them.
Awesome. How about you, Lee? Similar?
Yes, I always go directly to Google for reviews when it's not on a paid platform. So with Easy Weddings, I only ever ask for reviews on Easy Weddings or Google, because I find with Facebook everybody has too much of an opinion, and it's too easy for somebody who is having a bad day to just put whatever they feel like on there. And I feel as though people don't do that so much on Google or Easy Weddings. They give legitimate, if somebody's had a not great experience with you, that's fine. As long as it's an honest review, that's all you can ask for. But yeah, definitely Google, because as Paul said, if you're looking for wedding flowers, artificial, Sydney, bang, hello. In Easy Weddings, it's important to have a lot of reviews, because there's so many competitors on there who are incredible, and you need to set yourself apart. So, I feel like having an abundance of reviews is like a bit of a flashing beacon, like, hey.
Yeah.
And it's kind of necessary, because Easy Weddings has so many suppliers in one area.
Yeah.
It's a trusted platform. So, that's where I would go.
Awesome. How about you, Lala? Similar as well, or?
Easy Weddings, Google, and then Facebook. But we get most of our reviews on Google first before we do, and then Easy Weddings would be second. So not so much on Facebook. Facebook is more when people have purchased products from our e-com store, rather than an actual custom couple that we've worked with. The custom comes through Easy Weddings and then through Google. So we do focus on those two. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I feel like with Easy Weddings as well, kind of going back to what you were just saying, Lee, one of the ways that people, search for suppliers, you can actually filter and change the orders so it goes by reviews first. So that is definitely something that people do and people look for. So yeah, definitely. I like those 3. You guys basically had the 3 top ones, so that's great. No conflicting answers there, which is awesome. Now, how much time, what is the process? How much time do you leave between? So Lala, it might actually be a little bit different for you, because you provide your service before the wedding, whereas Lee and Paul, you provide your service. I mean, Lee maybe before the wedding, but technically for the wedding, right? So you might have different processes there. Do you wait a week after you've provided your service to ask for one? Do you, not wait at all? Do you wait 2 weeks? Do you wait till you know that they're back from their honeymoon? I don't know. Is there a process behind that? Lala, why don't you take us away?
We do different stages, so it depends what stage they're at. We may have a couple that just do the actual invite order as such. So we have a pretty consistent system where we file and follow up everyone on a monthly basis. So it depends where they fall into that cycle, but we try not to hit them up too early. We try and give them at least a bit of breathing space, 2 weeks to sort of just under a month to ask them for reviews. And if they're going all the way through, so they're done on day, they've even done thank you cards. They've been with us for almost 2 years that we've worked with them. So then we'll follow them up. So it depends what stage it is, but it goes anywhere from 2 weeks to about a month, where we will then get in touch and, ask for the review and follow it up from there.
Yeah. Awesome. What about you, Paul?
I'm a little bit different, just because I submit all the documentation as a celebrant to birth, deaths, and marriages on the Sunday. So I usually take care of it on that Sunday. I'll have a beer next to me or a drink of something. Send it off to all the customers. So I'll have a separate email. This is how you can apply for your marriage certificate, etc., etc. But then a separate email for the review, like how many stars would you give a stand-up celebrant? And I always put the 5 stars in the subject line, just as a sort of then hopefully they'll put 5 in.
As a hint, you should give me 5 stars.
Pretty much. And then I'll just list it on. So I usually do it on the Sunday night, and I'm very fortunate. I've got a lot of reviews now. I think that's one thing to point out. If you're sort of starting out and you haven't got many reviews, they'll eventually come. It just takes a bit of time, but I'm in a fortunate position. I've got a lot of reviews, so I don't follow up too much on the reviews. I just, if a customer wants to do it, they can do it. But yeah, it's usually pretty much on the Sunday night after all the weddings are done.
Yeah, awesome. How about you, Lee?
So mine vary. I'm very, I don't know, I'm particular about who I'll approach for a review.
Okay.
I don't just want any review, and I would never knock back a review, but I will only approach people that I feel like we've had a really great connection and that they're, extremely happy. And because I provide flowers, it's a kind of an emotional thing when the bride receives their flowers and they're like, oh my God, I love them. And I get those emails. I'm so glad that you love your flowers. It would be fantastic.
Yeah.
You could share your experience here. Here's a link. And when they say, oh, I'd be so happy to do that. Is there anywhere else? Yes. Here's another link. I don't want to come across as pushy and put too many links on there because, like you said, you don't want to overwhelm them because then they'll be like, they're not here to work for us. We're here to work for them. So it's out of their generosity that they even bother to tell anybody if they were happy with us. It's so much easier for people to tell others when they're not happy. Also if I know that the client has been happy with the flowers and they send me photos later on, if they haven't already left a review, then I'll ask, because often when I send the flowers, I'll send them the care instructions and, wish them all the best and tell them I'd love to see photos after their event. And when they do send the photos, I'm like, oh, you look amazing. I'll have a bit of a conversation and then I'd say, it'd be fantastic if you could leave some review here. So there's a few different kind of triggers that I've set up to be like, okay, now I can ask instead of just every single time. Yeah. So that's how I do it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It's very interesting that you three have like pretty different approaches. That's also, and I mean, it's worked really well for each of you. So that's some really good information. And now I guess, Lee, you've kind of covered this, but how do you ask for a review? So both in the sense of like, technically, how do you ask for a review, as in, do you just send an email, or do you follow it up with like a text or a call, or is it just an email thing? How many times might you follow it up? And then also within like the language that you use, to not be too pushy, as you said, Lee, what kind of language do you use? Is it just an email that says, hey, leave me a review, kind of what you said, Paul, with the 5 stars, and you're kind of, it's specifically about the review, or is it like a bigger email that's like, oh my God, I'm so happy that you had such a good time, by the way, PS, leave me a review. So Lala, I guess, Paul and Lee kind of touched on it, but what does that look like for you?
We send an email, and it's a personal email to them, and we always make sure that it's highly emotive language, but then all of our email correspondence is like that because it's such an emotional experience. We make sure that we include something that is of relevance to them. So often, it might be something small that we've picked up that we know that they've done at their wedding, or something that just kind of connects us back. So it's a personal kind of follow-up afterwards. And we do say, the power of your review for a small business like us to keep doing what we're doing is so important, and that other couples trust what our previous clients have said. So just remind them that we actually have the power to keep our business going, and always get a great response. And we open it up and say, if there's any feedback you want to give us as well, whether it's small or large, please do it now by email and let's work this out, rather than you taking it online. So it gives them a chance. Fortunately, I've not had any negative replies back or negative reviews. I think I've had 1 or 2, a couple, but that was a bit of a bully campaign that happened about 8 or 9 years ago through Facebook. That that's still there. But that's about it, really. That's what we find. We did try once doing because we do quite a large volume we could do sort of 50 to 100 orders in a month, so kind of one-on-one. So we did try doing that massive mail out MailChimp thing, and that just fell flat. And we realized the key is that personal connection with them all the way through, and then to drop the ball at the end and do this impersonal thing just was so against the whole entire brand ethos that we have. So we have a dedicated office, our studio manager, who sits down and does those one-on-ones every time. So yeah, and then we do I can see in the question someone's asked about photos. We write a handwritten note and stuff at the end of their order saying we'd love to see photos, which we often get, and then we feature our couples as real wedding couples throughout the process on our blogs and things, so that encourages them to give us a bit more of an in-depth, I suppose it's like a review as to why they chose us and what that experience was and what was the standout about dealing with us. So we kind of get like a multi-layered version of it. Yeah, it worked well for us.
Awesome. Paul, do you have anything that you'd like to add as well about how you ask for reviews?
No, actually, I think that summed it up perfectly. And just for what we both said, that personalised touch is something that's important, because as a celebrant, something could happen during the ceremony, like someone laughed at a specific part of the vows, or was a particular joke that the crowd really enjoyed. So that's huge. Dropping little things like that, it goes to show it's just not a meat grinding factory where you're just sending out a copy and paste email. So popping those little bits and pieces in there is really important, and they know that you've meant something to them, they've meant something to you, and even the relationship sometimes goes beyond. I was at a concert on Saturday night and I saw a couple there who left a review, and just seeing, so it's sort of still all that personal touch that you always remember. So having that.
Yeah. Sorry, do you find, Paul, as well, that it encourages them to leave a review that's actually quite personal as well? Like in return, they don't just do the generic, yeah, it was great dealing with Paul, he was awesome. They actually leave a more personal review for you.
100%. That's funny you mentioned that. One wrote, the bride said she was walking down the aisle after the ceremony finished, and she said she congratulated her on choosing the celebrant before. That's hilarious.
That's amazing.
So little things like that. But yeah, 100%. So, and you do find that, and also you find it's personalised, but there's also the consistency across the reviews. Like Paul felt like an old friend, or et cetera, things like that. I guess it might be a little bit different in other sectors of the wedding business, because I guess the celebrant and the couple are sort of, talking about intimate, really personal details. So I'm not too sure if it's different with both of you either. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add, Lee?
Yeah, I was just going to say it's kind of the same, but the authenticity of how you speak to your clients. Like it's easy to get caught up in trying to be too professional, and then you come off as cold. It's because most of my interaction with clients is via email or over the phone. I never see anyone. It's all done online. Yeah. So I really have to portray my personality and my, excitement and enthusiasm in text, or, just using my voice. So that's what makes the difference, I find. If, when brides and grooms were contacting us, telling us, we've had to postpone, I wouldn't say, oh, that's terrible. I would say that sucks.
Yeah.
It's because that's how I speak, and that's how people, they feel more comfortable that you're a person.
Yeah.
You're not just a vendor. You're not, some untouchable creature that's mythical. You know what I mean? So have that just personal connection, like the authenticity, being yourself, and it does create deeper, more meaningful reviews.
Yeah, that's so interesting, because I feel like you could definitely see the reviews process as being kind of like a cookie cutter approach, but it's very interesting just to hear that the three of you it's not like that at all. Like, you want it to be super personal and different for everyone. Like, that's actually a very heartwarming way of doing it, and I love that. And now the negative reviews. I feel like, and Lala, I know you said that you've only had bad reviews like years and years ago, or not even bad reviews, but a little. You'll tell us about that. I want to hear that story.
Yeah,
I feel like every business has, like, wedding or other, has had to deal with, like, negative reviews or maybe like negative comments within a review or something. And so how do you deal with that? I know, Lee, you said, if you might not ask for a review if you feel like they might have had some problem with, the service or whatever. But how would you deal with, because you don't really have to ask them. If they've had a bad experience, they can always go into Google and leave you a bad review if they want to, right? So how do you deal with that? What is the approach when or if that happens? Lala, I want to hear your story first, so you're taking us away on this one.
Background it was on Facebook. So I feel like it was almost like 8 or so years ago. It was a stupid thing. We had done a save the date, taken a photograph to use from the bride to use, and I had said to her, this is not going to print out well. And I went against my better judgment, did it anyway. And then obviously when it came out, it wasn't to the quality that it should have been. And it was because of the way the photograph was supplied to us, nothing we could do with it. So she wasn't happy. And I did say to her, look, I explained that to you, blah, 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 everything else. And we went and redid it and everything. But she went ahead and left quite a negative review on Facebook. But then what happened after that is that she got all of her friends and family to do the same thing. And it was funny because their reviews had nothing to do with what actually went wrong. They were things like, oh, she sucks, she's a really bad vendor. There's one on Google that says the rudest business owner I've ever dealt with.
Oh.
And I was like, I don't even know you. And it just came. It was like an avalanche of them. It was so overwhelming. And it's when Instagram was around, actually. And I remember sitting there and replying to every single one of them going, I'm so sorry to hear that you've had a negative experience with her. We've looked through our database and we can't actually find you as a client. Would you like to privately sort this all out? I'd hate to think that we've left an unhappy customer out there in the universe. That's not what we're about. And I did it with every single one of them and basically called them out in a polite way. And then it just, disappeared. So and we've had one recently happen because we sell this incredible wedding planner, which is what got us through COVID. It's a physical book. Facebook ads with it. And I watch the comments on that all the time. And one popped up recently where the girl was like, I didn't get mine, I ordered it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, whoa, hold on a minute. So I replied publicly online and said, please let us sort this out for you. That's so unusual. Could you let us know I ordered it? Oh, no, my bridesmaid ordered it for me. I went, okay, maybe you could let us know. The bridesmaid never ordered it. She told her and then told her.
Oh, no.
We had to call it out online because it just damaged us.
Yeah.
Do you know when you see the ad pop up on Facebook, you don't know which country it's coming from and if you're going to get what you ordered for. So to have someone leave something like that when you read through the comments, of trying to buy something and then that trust is broken, I was like, no. So any negative reviews, you've got to answer it straight away. Don't sit on it, but don't answer it in anger or in frustration. You're best to get someone else to step in for you and do it in a very calm, polite way with you literally need to smile while you're typing it so it feels all kind of lovely, and then you just ask to take it offline and sort it out. But you just seen we've got one wedding stationer here who just constantly vents her issues with her clients online, and I've seen them pipe back up, and that it's all on a platform visual for everyone to see. It's like Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. You can't take that shit back. Do you know what I mean? And
too soon, Lala, too soon.
But both people are in the wrong. No one's there's not always a right and wrong. Everyone's got their own point of views. It's just how it's put out there. But you've got to deal with your negative reviews straight away. And if you have the capacity to do that, then ask someone else to step in for you.
Yeah. Amazing. That was hilarious. Okay, Paul, do you have any stories like this that are extremely entertaining? Although at the time would not have been entertaining at all. So I'm sorry that, it is entertaining now. You've come out the other side and it's, you're amazing. So that's fine. But Paul, do you have any stories for us and also tips on how to deal with negative reviews?
To be honest, I don't really. I think what you said before is not fighting fire with fire is really important. Even like I can say in the past, when I first started with even emailing and stuff like that, with everyone's written a really angry email, and you look back on it and you think, "Geez, what am I the worst person in the world?" So yeah, just to try and keep it as positive and as upbeat. Fortunately, I haven't, and I'm not trying to sound arrogant or anything, but that's also a combination that if for some reason the wedding hasn't gone to what expectations I thought it might have, I won't ask them for a review. I mean, that doesn't happen that much, but I won't send it to them because it'll restrict them possibly posting something up. But I feel bad for you, Lala, with that bully campaign. It's just And the other thing is with that, it's an online digital thing. It's not a physical thing, so it's a different psychological hurt altogether to get something like that coming at you. But I think he handled it perfectly and not firing the cannons back at them, because then customers read that and they're like, okay, I'm getting a bit of a tone for what this business is about. But if you can turn on its head like that, I mean, that's all you can do in that situation.
My biggest lesson learned was just actually I should have just stood my ground at the beginning and said, no, I'm not doing that job.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. So I learned one of my biggest lessons in my business from that job was just to say no. And I know what's best, even though the client doesn't. So I'm just going to do it. And you can either thank me later or go somewhere else and get another shitty job done. So that's my biggest learning curves. Yeah.
It's a good point, because sometimes things happen at the wedding during the ceremony that's completely out of your control, but it might look like from a crowd perspective or a couple perspective that it's your fault, but you've had nothing to do with the fact that, you know, you've asked them for their vows 5 or 6 times before the ceremony, and they said they're going to bring them, but they didn't. And it looks like the celebrant forgot to print the vows. So little things like that are completely out of your control. There was one that, this is probably going off topic, but he said he was going to bring him, but he got completely smashed with his father-in-law the night before and didn't bring the vows. And I was like, this looks bad on me. I didn't get drunk the night before and not print my vows out. So, yeah.
Sometimes you didn't get a bad review for that one.
No, I got a good review in the end. So
that's good. He probably realized with the hangover that he had on the day that that's to blame.
That's tough. Yeah.
How about you, Lee? Do you have any stories that stand out, or a story that stands out? And what are your recommendations for dealing with bad reviews?
Well, I've had a few experiences, and it's funny that Lala said that one of the lessons that she learned was to not accept jobs that she's not confident with, and that's great. That's a great lesson to have learned, you know. However, I've had brides, it's always been brides actually, never a groom, to be honest. Leave me reviews when I haven't been able to fit them in. You know, we've been booked, completely booked, and they'll contact, you know, within a month to the wedding, and I'm like, I can't help you. I'm so sorry. You might have to find someone else.
Yeah.
No, I want you to make them. Okay, that's great, but you probably have left it too late. I can't actually fit you in.
Yeah.
Bad reviews. I'm like, what? This is not fair, you know, and you can't get them taken down.
Yeah.
And they stay there forever. And like the others have said, you know, they get their family and their friends to hop on and put on nasty things and give you 1 star. I wish I could give them 0. Like, stop it. But one of the lessons that I learned very early on, I used to cry. Like, I was that, because I built the company from the ground. You know, every step was hard. It was tough. And I was learning as I was going as well, you know, with all the digital stuff. So when I'd get a bad review on Google, I was beside myself thinking, you know, when it was a fake Google review, well, not fake, but, you know, not warranted.
Yeah.
Somebody wasn't happy, obviously, but it's not through any fault of my own. That's what I class as fake.
Yeah.
So what I learned after being just, you know, distraught is to not take it personally. For anyone starting out or, you know, experiencing bad reviews, don't take it personally. These people aren't attacking you. They're trying to vent their frustration, and it just, you know, it's easy to let it affect you emotionally. You've got to kind of separate yourself, you know, like Paul was saying, not to fight fire with fire. Don't just wow, lose it and email frantically, you know, don't. It causes more trouble than it's worth. The best thing I've found is, you know, if somebody's got a legitimate concern, is to just show understanding.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I can see why you were upset about that or you're concerned about that, and then give them a reason. If it was, you know, sometimes what happens with us is that the timing, we might say that we'll get them their bouquets to them within 6 weeks to the wedding. And that 6-week mark may come and it doesn't get there until 4 weeks to the wedding. But there's been 2 weeks where this couple has been expecting their flowers and now they want blood.
Yeah.
Even though they've got plenty of time to the wedding, they've still, you said.
Yeah.
So kind of, I don't know, I guess the message there is to, what's the saying? Under promise and over deliver.
Yeah.
That's a lesson that I've learned that helps with, you know, customer satisfaction, which then, you know, it in turn affects your reviews.
Yeah. Set the expectation that way.
Yes. Expectation is the killer of all business reviews. If it is.
And I feel like another thing would also just be to then lean on the really good experiences that you've had that you know will leave you the good reviews, to, like, you know, bury the bad reviews.
Yes.
And then just keep the good reviews coming and get your, like, total out of 5 stars closer to the 5. Because I feel like the keyboard warriors, that's what they are. They love it.
And there's some people who just never leave 5 stars. They can be so bloody happy, but they're only 4-star people. They will never.
And you're like, where's the last star?
I know, and it brings it down. But when you read the writing of what they've written, they're absolutely loving it and loved you, but they only gave you 4 stars, and you're like, why?
I think it's probably a bit easier for celebrants and photographers because there's that more face-to-face time. So it'd be harder if it was all online. Because say you do your best with everything that you got, all the tools at your disposal. So it's probably easier for celebrants and photographers because there's more of a human interaction to it. Would you agree with that?
Not really, because I feel as though you have got a crowd full of people who can review you.
Yeah.
Right? He was inappropriate. You know, there's always one of those.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, I mean, like you're generally there on the day, so you really get the height of the emotion. But we still add enormous amount of personalization and that connection through everything we do. All of our touch points, our correspondence, communication, everything. We make sure that we build that in. That's what we focus on. So it can be done, but you've got to do it really consciously and cleverly and consistently all the way through. It's done with a lot of thought, but it's so worth the effort to do it as well, because we have to remember that this is probably one of the biggest emotional investments, experience, money investments that these couples ever make. And no matter how many couples we might do in a week, a day, or whatever it is, we have to remember that them on their own, this is everything to them. We have to make them feel that way. Yeah, I've been upgraded on flights. I've been upgraded from economy to first class because the air hostess in first class, I did her wedding stationery. You know what I mean? Wow. She sat me down at first class and the guys next to me like, who are you? I'm like, do you not know who I am? He's like, no. And she comes up and she's got her wedding album out and we're going through it all.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean? That was and I was like, this is awesome. So you'll build that emotional connection even when it's just online. It's lots of ways.
You're like, who needs a 5-star review if I can get a first class seat?
It was like the best. It was a long flight, so it was perfect. And we send videos and DMs by Instagram and all sorts of stuff to our couples. You know, I'll get all my team on camera and we'll be like, you're getting married today. You know, we make sure that it's really exciting for them. So you can definitely add it in.
Yeah.
But you have the advantage of actually being there on the day. You can give them a physical connection that way.
Yeah. Interesting. That's fascinating.
Yeah, it's a different approach.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. Now, to round it all up, what do you think are your top tips, the top things that you think people should take away from this about reviews? Maybe like top 5 or something, or top 3, top 5, top tips that people should really consider when it comes to reviews. Paul, tell us.
I think the first one is just to be real with them. I think all the through line with all reviews is to be genuine. And I think we've mentioned it a number of times before, but just validation and being genuine and real in all of the reviews that happen. I think all good reviews happen in the preparation beforehand. So, you can do, all the preparation happens beforehand. So you're going to get a good review if you've done everything that you can possibly for the bride and groom beforehand to get that review. So it's all done beforehand. But the other ones are just more practical. Make it as easy as possible for the couple to put the reviews on, direct them where to go, and put that personalized touch onto them. It's pretty much sort of surmising what we've just talked about, but having those things together is important, having the whole package. And also, if you're just starting out, don't get down on yourself if you've only got 5 reviews and 4 of them are only 5 stars and might be 1, 2, or 3. I mean, it's just a matter of building it and getting it to a point where there are a lot more reviews, but it doesn't mean your business is going to suffer because you're just starting out. Starting out's always the hardest bit, so it's going to take time. So just try and be as patient as possible with it.
Awesome. Great advice. Lee, what about you?
I would just tack on a little bit onto the end there and just say, to the newcomers, the starters, we all had one review at one stage.
Yeah.
Everybody has, so persist. Just persist. If you want to see an outcome, keep just chipping away at it, it takes time. I've written down a few little points.
Yeah.
So asking the right customers, which we've mentioned, key for a good series of reviews. Okay, anybody can leave a review, like you've said, Emma, but picking the right ones that are beyond happy with you, they're the ones that you need to seek. And give them the reason why. Like, why should they leave a review? And what I always say to the customers that have received their flowers with us is have a think about when you were deciding which vendor you were going to choose and who you wanted to make your flowers, whichever sector you're in, to say, how hard was it for you to weed out who you didn't want to, who you didn't want to approach or, ask for a quote or whatever like that. And let the other brides and grooms have the easier path. You can help other couples by saying, I had a really great experience with this company. So that's the why. If they know, there's a reason other than just helping you, like us, if they know that they're helping other brides plan their wedding, they're more encouraged to do that because they remember how tough it was,
Yeah.
Making it easy, just like Paul said, to give them a link,
Yep.
Make it easy for them. And also, if you have, like Lala, I don't know if you do invitations for anything other than weddings, but there's, photographers and stuff like that who don't do just weddings. So if you wanted a review, you could offer them an incentive in the way of like a discount for your next purchase. If you want another photography session, or if you want invitations for another event, that type of thing. So you can kind of buy them a little bit. Got that type of a service. And what else? Oh, and just when you're dealing with negative reviews, I didn't get a chance to just interject before. Would be to just remember that your reputation is key. Your reputation is more important than being right online. So, I just wanted to put that bit in there as well.
That's very interesting. That's a good point, for sure.
Yeah, got to kind of try and smooth it over. Rather than, it's mine forever.
Yeah, definitely. Lala, do you have any tips to add?
Yeah, definitely reinforcing and making it easy. Make sure that when you've sent the review, the links are there and they're working, so they don't have to go searching for how to review you. I believe you need to build it into your everyday business systems. It's not something you do when you remember to do it. It should be built in. Whether you do a fortnightly check-in or like Brad does on a Sunday night, it needs to be part of your business systems that you do. Because what you want is regular reviews, and you want fresh reviews. Like I harp on about it. So I do business coaching, particularly a lot of people in the wedding industry, because we have a fresh batch of clients all the time. Your reviews need to be current and up to date. Even a year ago, it's not acceptable. It needs to be within 3 to 6 months. And then I think the kicker, the thing that really makes a difference, is you reply to every single one of them. The minute someone pops up on Easy Wedding, does a review, I'm on there. No later, like if it's during the week and it's popped up, if it's a weekend, I'm not there, and I'll reply back straight away in a really emotive way, make sure I've used both their names, put in that personal touch, and every single review is replied to, whether it's on Google, Facebook, or whatever. And then I know that when my clients are going looking for me, they can see that connection, they can see how invested I am, and that it's current and that it's fresh. So I think like your reviews up to date and then replying to every single one of them is the two things that I believe makes a difference.
Yeah.
Clients, whether it's you or someone else.
I think that's a really good point about the up to date. There are a lot of suppliers who have reviews from like 2018, and it's like, no, you have to like keep it going. It's not when you remember. It's exactly right. Constantly, consistently, and then that's how you're building your reviews as well, because you're not just waiting and then emailing someone, you know, a year later and they're like, oh, I don't have time for you anymore. Right? Like, so that's a really good point for sure. Does anyone else have anything to say about the tips or anything? No? Cool. Well, we will go through questions. So if anybody has any questions, I do see here, Marilyn, sorry. How many or what percentage of couples search by reviews? I'm assuming that's for Easy Weddings. When I said you can filter by reviews, I'm not going to lie and pull a number out of my tush. I'm not sure what that percentage is. I just know that it is definitely a thing. I do that myself. I mean, I'm not getting married, but like when I'm looking for a supplier for something, I will definitely like, that is something that I've done. And it's also something like for this webinar, when I was trying to figure out what suppliers to ask to join, that's something that I did. And I know for a fact that, you know, even just like for any service, like, I don't know, Airbnb or restaurants or anything like that, like people will look at reviews. So I will find the stat for you. I will go to our IT team and get that stat for you. But I'm not going to lie and say that I've got something that I don't. But I'll let you know. Now, how often do you go back to ask if you don't get a review from your first request? Does anyone want to take that one?
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah.
So if I've sent an email and the bride and groom haven't replied, I might send them another email 2 weeks after that. And just ask them if they received my first email. Because that, to me, I wouldn't be offended if that happened. Because I try and treat the customers as I would like to be treated. I don't want to be hounded for a review, go away. If I don't want to give you a review, don't keep coming at me. But I feel as though if you initially ask and then, you know, a few weeks later, just say, hey, just checking if my email came through. Would really love a review if you have time. Thanks. And then that's it. Don't contact them about a review again after that. Otherwise, you might get a bad one.
Yeah. It's the pushiness that we spoke about. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, twice would be more than enough, I feel. Yeah. And even having an opening at the end of it that says, if you would feel more comfortable talking to me directly about something of your experience, I'm here to listen, you know, so that they can have a chance. If they feel like they're simmering on something and they really want to vent it with you, then they can do it personally rather than online as well. Say at least twice, yeah.
Yeah. Paul, I know you said kind of earlier that you will kind of send the one email and let it slide if they don't leave a review. Is that like, that's what you said, isn't it?
Yeah, I used to follow up. I don't as much anymore. I will follow up with inquiries, like if they haven't, because it'll go to junk mail and I'll send maybe 4 or 5 days later, hey, just checking what's going on. But reviews, I'll just send the one on the Sunday night. Also, a little thing I ask if they would like to share any photos as well on the day on the same review email, and if they want to follow my Instagram, get the gram street cred. I'll put it down the bottom as well and just have it all in one, and just leave it at that. But I think the fortnightly email afterwards, if they haven't replied, is a good idea too.
Yeah. And just with that, what you just said, this is not a question that we've been asked, but it just came to mind. As far as Instagram, because I know for us, for Easy Weddings, like people find us on Instagram, and that's kind of like potentially, Google as well when they're looking up, suppliers for their wedding. But when they find us on Instagram, that's kind of how they then go back onto our website and find their suppliers and stuff like that. So do you recommend, I know we spoke about the platforms earlier, but do you recommend having some kind of like testimonial highlight in your Instagram, or even like testimonials on your website? Do you have that? Is that something that you think people look at or care about, or it's more about the Google and the Facebook and the Easy Weddings reviews? Lala?
I believe that you need to be consistent with all your touch points. So no matter where they are looking for you, you look just as awesome everywhere. So we do almost 80% of our business comes from Instagram. Even though it looks like no one interacts or follow us, it's quite remarkable. We do have a review highlight that we keep as well. We really encourage a lot of, like, all of our packaging encourages them to unbox it like straight away on stories and stuff, nuts on all of those sort of things and all the little touch points. So we will save that to our highlights, and then we will then take reviews that have come through Easy Weddings or Google's and rotate them up on stories or put them on our separate feed post as well, along with maybe pictures of the couple and all of that. So there's this lovely connection and story that goes all the way through. Here's the couple, here's the stuff we did, and here's what they did. So that's all social proof there. So I believe that like, whether it's on Instagram and then they go to Facebook, they go to Google, and then they go to your website, those reviews need to be everywhere. I don't feel like you've got to keep all pillars up in order to kind of get it up to here. That's what I do anyway, and that's what's worked for us. So we do have them on our website as well. We put them at sort of, where they're kind of reading, and then bam, there's that positive reinforcement that we're the right people. Bam, here's another one. Actually, Alan Berg, who spoke at the Easy Weddings conference in Melbourne, that you guys did, I listened to his podcast religiously. He's the one that drives that. He's like, you've got to have those short, sharp sentences, reviews about you just, throughout your website. And it definitely works. Yeah.
Awesome. Paul, what about you? Do you have that as well on like your Instagram and your website?
I probably need to lift a little bit Instagram wise, because I'm not as active on social media. I might post a couple of times a week. I've got the highlight on there. Coming from a stand-up background, I've got like stories, like real reviews, 3 real reviews in a row, and then I'll have like a jokey one, like my grade 3 teacher said something such and such, or something like that, and then go back to some real reviews. Then ones later have a jokey. So keeping in touch with that sort of like laid back and the tone of my business. Most of mine still come through Google and Easy Weddings. I've got to crack that Instagram code. I like putting content up there, but I'm just not as frequent with it. I'll be brutally honest, so I've got to keep on going with that.
Well, you should watch one of our social media webinars that happen.
I totally should.
Awesome. What about you, Lee?
Yeah, I was just thinking, I find it time-wise is just too much. So I feel as though I'd rather be proficient at a few things than average at all of them. So I've decided to put less focus on the Instagram, more focus on the website and Google and Easy Weddings. But with the reviews, I've made sure that I've got a widget on the website to show people they can go straight to the Easy Weddings reviews, or they can go straight to the Google reviews. I do put up photos on Instagram, and I do get inquiries through it as well, but I don't put as much attention into that. I don't know really for what reason, but that's, you can't do everything. So you've just got to find what works for you, and really nail that down And then if you've got the time and the will, expand then. But, people don't have to feel like they have to be across absolutely everything. You just don't have to. You don't have to. That's a myth. If you do, fantastic. That's fine. You can succeed without being all over everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I feel like when you found, what works for your business and for your audience as well, like it's exactly what you just said. You don't have to go, especially if you don't have, the resources, like if it's just you, which it is for a lot of suppliers, it's just them. And so it is really time consuming, to put all of that effort. So definitely if what you're doing works for you, then keep doing it. Like, that's awesome. Samantha, I'm just seeing, can you expand on the ad review highlight? So what I mean by that is on Instagram, you can, I'm not sure if you know, but you can put little highlight sections just under your Instagram bio. And so you might have, for example, reviews. You might also have real weddings. We'll have suppliers on there. We had like a highlight about COVID when that happened, and things that, the first things that people want to look at when they go onto your Instagram and try to figure out if they want to inquire or book with you. And then they can go the highlight section. So basically it's an Instagram story that you've posted and you save them all onto one highlight section so people can go through all of the reviews that you've shared on your Instagram stories in the last however long. So yeah, I think that's definitely a good thing to implement if you do have the time and the understanding on, how that all works. Maybe we should add that to a webinar one day, do an Instagram highlights course. But definitely I think when I look at restaurants or something, I'm still not planning my wedding. I keep asking my boyfriend, but for some reason I haven't cracked the code. But looking at restaurants and stuff like that, like you might look through their reviews or through, re-shares of stories of the food that they've shared and stuff like that. So you would definitely do that. I know I was a bridesmaid for my sister-in-law, and she would, for her makeup artist, she would look through all of the real weddings and make sure that, the makeup techniques and looks suited what she wanted and stuff like that. So it's definitely important. Cool. Let me see if we've got any other questions. I thought there might be a way to get customers to add a review. No. So that would just be, you can either take screenshots and post them in your stories, or you can create some graphics, just copying and pasting the reviews or however you want to do it, and then post it to your story, and then you can add it to your highlight section on Instagram. I don't know if we've got any more questions. Please do pop them in if you've got more. While I wait to see if we do have any more, I just wanted to firstly say thank you to all of you for joining, to you three for giving us all of your advice and your expertise. I feel like there was so much value in everything that you said and provided, and I'm sure that everybody who has watched and who will be watching the replay will feel the same way. While I have everyone here, I did want to announce the next webinar, which is going to be in 2 weeks' time, on the 13th of April, which is crazy that it's April in 2 weeks, the 13th of April, that's just nuts. But it's so exactly 2 weeks from now, Wednesday at 1 p.m. And it's actually a follow-up to this webinar, but we're going to be talking with Catherine from Event Law. And I don't know if you have watched any of the previous webinars, but she was on a few months ago and did a webinar about event law. And she is going to be talking about the good, the bad, and the legally ugly of reviews. So she is going to be presenting on what is opinion versus what is malicious. She's going to be talking about what is defamatory, what is a defamatory review. She's going to be talking about how to handle threats of bad reviews, and then how to handle negative reviews from a legal standpoint. So she's going to be putting together a bit of a prezzo for us, and it's going to be really, really interesting. So if you enjoyed this webinar, I'm sure you will enjoy the next one. You will be receiving an email, as you did for this one, to register. If you can't attend on the 13th, similar to this one, you can watch the recordings. So yes, if you arrived late to this webinar and you didn't catch me saying that, There will be a recording link sent to you within the next hour or so, and you can rewatch whatever you've missed, or if you feel like you needed to take more notes on something that was said that you thought, oh my God, that's such a great point, I need to write that down, you will be able to rewatch everything. But before we leave, I'm seeing thanks. So before we leave, I just want to know, where can people find the three of you if they want to connect, if they want to say thanks so much, this was amazing content, or if they just want to follow you just to see, what you do with your business and how you can inspire them. Where can people find you? Lala, you go first.
If you want to follow me for wedding and event stationery, it's at Lala Design Perth. And if you want to follow me for business coaching and advice, it's Lala for Business. So there's two.
Awesome. Thank you. What about you, Lee?
Yeah, everybody can find us on Facebook. The name is Just Fake It Bouquets, Bridal Flowers.
Awesome. Thank you. And Paul?
Your Instagram is at standupcelebrant, and email, I think, it's paul@standupcelebrant.com.
You think?
I've got two. I went from Paul at Gmail and then put the stand. Anyway.
Yeah.
Stand Up Celebrant at Instagram.
Something along those lines.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you three so much. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Have a fantastic rest of your day and an awesome week. And we will see you at the next webinar in 2 weeks.
Thanks, Emma.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks. Bye.